Julian Thorne was 27 years old. He had an MBA from Wharton, a dazzling smile, and a vest collection that rivaled a Patagonia catalog. He had been hired as the new VP of Operations and Efficiency. Julian didn't know how to code. He didn't know how to drive a forklift. He didn't know the difference between LTL, less than truckload, and FTL, full truckload. But he knew synergy. He knew lean management. And he knew that to make his bonus, he needed to cut costs by 15% in quarter 3. The friction started on day 3. Arthur was in the break room fixing the coffee machine. The grinder had jammed again. Arthur had his toolkit out and was carefully removing a stuck bean. "Excuse me," a voice said. It wasn't a question. It was a notification of presence. Arthur looked up. Julian was standing there, holding an empty mug that cost more than Arthur's shoes. "The machine is down," Arthur said politely. "Just clearing a jam. Give me 2 minutes." Julian looked at his watch, an Apple Watch Ultra. "You're Penhaligon, right? IT? Systems architect, yes?" "Right. Why is a systems architect fixing a coffee pot? Don't we have a vendor for that?" "We do," Arthur said, screwing the faceplate back on. "But they charge $150 for a call-out and take 4 hours to get here. I can fix it in 5 minutes for free. Saves the company money, keeps the team caffeinated." Julian didn't smile. He looked at Arthur with the expression one might use when finding a bug in a salad. "It's an inefficient use of company time, Arthur. Your hourly rate is—" Julian paused, mentally calculating. "Well, it's not minimum wage. If you're spending 10 minutes on a coffee pot, that's a loss. We need to streamline roles, stick to the binary code, let the vendors handle the hardware." Arthur stood up, wiping grease on a rag. "Just trying to help, Julian." "Mr. Thorne," Julian corrected him. "And help is only helpful if it's scalable. This?" He gestured to the toolkit. "This is small thinking. Apex is about big thinking." Arthur felt a small tighten in his chest. He nodded, picked up his tools, and walked away. The coffee machine beeped, ready to brew. Julian stepped up and pressed the button without a thank you. 2 weeks later, the email arrived. Subject: Departmental Audit. Mandatory attendance from Julian Thorne, VP of Ops. To all tech staff. The conference room was glass-walled and terrifyingly bright. Julian stood at the head of the table, a PowerPoint presentation glowing behind him. The slide read, "Trimming the Fat, Optimizing Human Capital." Arthur sat at the back. He had brought a notepad. Next to him was Sarah, a junior developer Arthur had been mentoring. She looked nervous. "I've been reviewing the logs," Julian announced, pacing the room like a tiger who had just read a book on leadership. "And frankly, I'm appalled. We have a culture of inefficiency here." He clicked a button. A graph appeared. It showed overtime hours. "We are paying out thousands in overtime," Julian said. "And yet, our output remains flat. Why?" He pointed a laser pointer at a name on the list. A. Penhaligon. "Arthur," Julian said, his voice smooth. "You logged 60 hours last week. Care to explain?" Arthur cleared his throat. "Well, sir, on Tuesday, the Atlas database had a deadlock issue during the West Coast sync. I had to manually rewrite the query logs to prevent the trucks in California from being stranded. That took 4 hours. Then on Thursday, the sales team's CRM crashed, and I had to rebuild their index." Julian sighed. A loud, performative sigh. Arthur. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Hero ball." "Excuse me?" "Hero ball. You're running around putting out fires, acting like the hero. But if the system is breaking, that means you aren't doing your core job of preventing it. You're addicted to the chaos because it makes you feel essential." The room went silent. Sarah looked down at her hands. "I don't create the chaos, Mr. Thorne," Arthur said, his voice steady. "Atlas is 20 years old. It's held together by duct tape and prayers. I'm the one holding the tape." "Legacy excuses," Julian snapped. I've looked at your job description. It says maintenance. It doesn't say sales support. It doesn't say coffee machine repair. It doesn't say data entry for HR. Julian clicked to the next slide. It was a scanned copy of Arthur's original contract from 1999. This, Julian tapped the screen, is your scope. Anything outside of this is unauthorized. You are stealing time, Arthur. You are padding your hours with busy work to justify a salary that, quite frankly, is already bloating my budget. Arthur felt the heat rise up his neck. It wasn't shame. It was anger. Pure, cold anger. So, Julian concluded, smiling that shark-like smile. Here is the new directive, effective immediately. You do not touch anything outside your specific job description. No overtime, no helping other departments, no fixing things that aren't P1 critical server failures. You work 9 to 5, you clock out, you act your wage. Arthur looked at Julian. He looked at the smug face of a man who had never stayed up until 4 a.m. to save a shipment of insulin from rotting in a warehouse because a routing code failed. You want me to stick strictly to my written job description? Arthur asked. To the letter? To the letter, Julian said. If I catch you doing 1 minute of unauthorized work, I'm writing you up. 3 write-ups and you're out. Am I clear? Arthur closed his notepad. He capped his pen. Crystal clear, Mr. Thorne. By 2 p.m., the CEO, Mr. Sterling, was on a video call on Julian's laptop via a 4G hotspot since the building Wi-Fi was down. He looked sunburned and furious. Thorne, why am I losing $50,000 a minute? It's Penhaligon, Julian screamed, pointing the webcam at Arthur. He's sabotaging us. He's moving in slow motion. Arthur didn't look up. He was typing commands. Verifying disk integrity, 12% complete. Let me talk to him, Mr. Sterling barked. Julian shoved the laptop in Arthur's face. Penhaligon, what the hell is going on? Mr. Sterling, Arthur said pleasantly, we experienced a critical memory failure due to volume overload. I am currently performing a compliant system restoration as per the protocols established by Mr. Thorne. Compliant? I don't care about compliant. I care about moving boxes. Can you fix this faster? I could, Arthur admitted. There is a backdoor script I wrote years ago that forces a dirty reboot and restores from the shadow copy. It takes about 20 minutes. Then do that. I can't, sir. That script is shadow IT. It's unauthorized code. Mr. Thorne told me explicitly that if I used unauthorized code again, I would be fired. I am protecting my job, sir. Mr. Sterling looked at Julian. His eyes were bulging. Thorne, Sterling said, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. Did you tell our only systems architect not to fix the system? I told him to follow protocol, Julian defended, to be safe. Mr. Sterling, Arthur interjected, I am currently at a crossroads. It is 5 p.m. on the East Coast. My shift is over. I am not authorized for overtime. Don't you dare leave, Julian shouted. Arthur, Mr. Sterling said, I am authorizing overtime. Fix it. Arthur stopped typing. He leaned back in his chair. The room went silent. Mr. Sterling, Arthur said slowly, I appreciate the offer, but the environment here has become untenable. I have been insulted, micromanaged, and stripped of the tools I need to do my job. I don't think I want to work overtime. In fact, I don't think I want to work here at all. Arthur reached into his desk drawer. He pulled out a white envelope. This is my resignation, effective immediately. He placed it on the desk. You can't quit, Julian yelled. The system is down. That sounds like an operations problem, Arthur said, and you are the VP of operations. Arthur stood up. He put on his coat. Arthur, wait, Sterling said from the screen. Name your price. Arthur smiled. I'm retired, Mr. Sterling. I'm going to go home, have some leftover turkey, and watch a movie with my wife. Double your salary, Sterling yelled. No. Triple! No. Arthur walked to the elevator. The entire office watched him go. Julian Thorne looked like he was about to vomit. The elevator doors closed. The first week was the annoyance phase. The warehouse label printers remained broken for 2 days. Mike had to handwrite shipping manifests. This slowed down the loading dock by 40%. Drivers were furious. Late fees began to accrue. Julian Thorne didn't notice. He was looking at spreadsheets, and on the spreadsheets he saw that Arthur Penhaligon had worked exactly 40 hours. 0 overtime. "See?" Julian bragged to the CEO, Mr. Sterling, during a lunch meeting. "I told you. Penhaligon was padding his hours. I clamped down and the building is still standing. Efficiency." Mr. Sterling, an aloof man who spent more time on his yacht than in the office, nodded absently. "Good work, Julian. Keep cutting." Back in the office, the cracks were spreading. The sales team relied on a custom Excel macro Arthur had built to calculate complex shipping quotes. On Wednesday, the macro broke. It threw a runtime error 9. The sales manager, a frantic woman named Linda, ran to Arthur's desk. "Arthur, the quota is down. I have a client on the line for a $200,000 contract." Arthur looked up from his sandwich. It was 12:30 p.m. Lunch break. "Submit a ticket, Linda." "Ticket? Arthur, just press the button. Fix the code." "I didn't write that code officially, Linda. It's Shadow IT. Julian says Shadow IT is a security risk. I'm not allowed to touch it." "But you built it." "And I was scolded for it. If I touch it, I get written up. Call Julian." Linda stormed off to Julian's office. 10 minutes later, Julian marched over to Arthur's desk. "Arthur, fix Linda's spreadsheet." Arthur swiveled his chair. "Is that an official request for me to perform coding work on unverified software outside of the Atlas environment?" "It's a request to stop being a jerk and fix the spreadsheet." "I need it in writing, Julian. My contract says I manage the Atlas database. Excel macros are desktop support. If I do this, I am deviating from my role. I need an email from you authorizing me to perform tasks outside my job description and acknowledging that this time is billable." Julian's face turned purple. He knew that if he put that in writing, he was admitting that his efficiency plan was flawed. He was admitting he needed Arthur for things he had claimed were useless. "Fine," Julian spat. "I'll get an intern to do it." The intern, a terrified 20-year-old, deleted the entire pricing database by accident. The client walked. Apex lost the $200,000 contract. Julian blamed the intern. He blamed Linda. He did not blame Arthur. He couldn't. Arthur had done exactly what he was told. By the second week, the atmosphere at Apex Logistics was toxic. The coffee machine was broken permanently. Staff were leaving the office to go to Starbucks, wasting 20 minutes twice a day. Productivity dipped. The HR payroll system, which usually processed automatically, failed. Why? Because Arthur hadn't run the manual leap year patch script he usually ran. On Friday, nobody got paid. Panic swept the floor. People were crying in the break room. Julian was running around like a headless chicken. "It's a bank error! It's a glitch!" He cornered Arthur in the hallway. "Why didn't the payroll run?" Arthur shrugged. "The system threw an error 404 on the batch file. I saw the alert." "You saw it? And you didn't fix it?" "Fixing it requires access to the finance server. My access to the finance server was revoked last week as part of your security audit. Remember? Least privilege access." Julian froze. He had revoked Arthur's access. He had bragged about it. I can restore your access." "That takes 24 hours to propagate through the system, Julian. Protocol." "We have to pay people." "Then you should probably cut manual checks," Arthur suggested helpfully. It took the finance team all weekend to handwrite 400 checks. Julian had to stay until midnight on Saturday licking envelopes. Arthur was at a jazz club with Martha, sipping an old-fashioned. "You seem happy," Martha said, touching his hand. "I am," Arthur said. "I feel lighter. It's amazing how much energy you save when you stop holding up the sky." "Do you think they realize yet?" "Not yet," Arthur grinned, "but the rainy season is coming." In the world of logistics, there is one thing everyone fears: Black Friday. It is the Super Bowl of shipping. Volume triples. Trucks run 24/7. The data flowing through the servers becomes a torrent. Apex Logistics handled the shipping for 3 major e-commerce retailers. If Apex went down on Black Friday, the lawsuits would be in the millions. The reputation damage would be fatal. Arthur knew this. He also knew something else. The Atlas system had a fatal flaw. It was a memory leak in the database kernel. It happened when the transaction volume exceeded 10,000 requests per minute. When the memory leaked, the server would slow down, then freeze, then crash. For the last 5 years, Arthur had prevented this. On Black Friday, he would sit in the server room for 12 hours straight. He would watch the memory usage monitors. When it got to 80%, he would manually flush the RAM and restart the secondary nodes. He did this delicately, balancing the load so no one noticed a thing. It was a masterful performance of technical conducting. It was also technically not in his job description. His job description said maintenance, which implied fixing things after they broke, not preventative measures that required unauthorized admin access during peak hours. Wednesday before Thanksgiving, Julian called a pep rally meeting. "All right, team," Julian yelled, wearing a vest that cost more than Arthur's car. "This is it. Peak season. I want 110% from everyone. We are going to smash records." He looked at Arthur. "And IT? I want 0 downtime. 0. "The system is stable," Arthur said, "as long as it operates within its designed parameters. Just keep it running, Penhaligon. No excuses." Arthur nodded. "I will monitor the system during my scheduled hours, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Julian rolled his eyes. Yeah, just don't let it crash." Thursday, Thanksgiving, the calm before the storm. Friday, 12:01 a.m., the sales started. The orders poured in. The trucks started moving. Arthur was asleep. Friday morning, 9 a.m., Arthur walked into the office. The air smelled of fear. The phones were ringing off the hook. Every light on the dashboard was blinking red. "Arthur!" Sarah ran up to him. She was crying. "It's slow. It's so slow. The warehouse scanners are taking 30 seconds to register a box. The trucks are backing up onto the highway." Arthur looked at his monitor. He opened the dashboard. Memory usage, 94%. The leak. It was happening. "Interesting," Arthur said. He poured himself a tea, which he brought from home in a thermos. 9:30 a.m. Julian burst out of his office. "Why is the client calling me? Why are the Amazon shipments stuck in pending?" He ran to Arthur's desk. "Fix it! Speed it up!" Arthur looked at the logs. "It appears to be a memory saturation issue. The legacy database can't handle the volume." "Well, clear it! Do the thing! The magic thing!" "I can't," Arthur said. "To clear the memory actively while the system is live requires root access. You revoked my root access. You said, and I quote, 'No one needs God mode on the server.'" "I'll give it back. Just type the code." "I can't type the code, Julian. I need the CEO's written approval to reinstate root access. That's the new compliance policy you wrote. Section 4, paragraph 2. "Screw the policy! Do it!" "I can't violate compliance, Julian. That's a firing offense. I need Mr. Sterling to sign the form." "He's in the Bahamas." "Then you better call him." Memory usage, 99%. 10 a.m. The screen flickered. The hum in the server room changed pitch. It went from a whine to a groan. And then, silence. The lights on the server rack went from flashing green to solid amber. Then red. System failure. Database disconnected. The entire Apex Logistics network went dark. Every computer screen in the building went black. Every scanner in the warehouse beeped, "Error." Every truck on the road lost its GPS manifest. Every client portal showed 404, not found. Millions of dollars of freight frozen in time. The office erupted. People were screaming. Phones were smashing. Julian stood there staring at Arthur's black screen. His face was gray. "Bring it back up," Julian whispered. "I can't," Arthur said calmly. "A crash of this magnitude requires a full system rebuild from the backup tapes. It's a level 5 disaster." "How long?" If we follow the standard operating procedure, 48 hours. 48 hours? Julian screamed. We'll be bankrupt. Amazon will sue us into oblivion. Fix it now! Arthur looked at his watch. I can start the restoration process, Arthur said. But it's 10:05 a.m. It will take me all day. And since today is a holiday for support staff, it's Black Friday. Everyone is working. I'm here, Arthur said. I'll get to work. But I'm following the manual. Page 1 to page 500. No shortcuts. No hero ball. Arthur pulled out the dusty binder labeled Disaster Recovery, 2005. He opened it to page 1. He started typing with one finger. By 2 p.m., the CEO, Mr. Sterling, was on a video call on Julian's laptop via a 4G hotspot since the building Wi-Fi was down. He looked sunburned and furious. Thorne, why am I losing $50,000 a minute? It's Penhaligon, Julian screamed, pointing the webcam at Arthur. He's sabotaging us. He's moving in slow motion. Arthur didn't look up. He was typing commands. Verifying disk integrity, 12% complete. Let me talk to him, Mr. Sterling barked. Julian shoved the laptop in Arthur's face. Penhaligon, what the hell is going on? Mr. Sterling, Arthur said pleasantly, we experienced a critical memory failure due to volume overload. I am currently performing a compliant system restoration as per the protocols established by Mr. Thorne. Compliant? I don't care about compliant. I care about moving boxes. Can you fix this faster? I could, Arthur admitted. There is a backdoor script I wrote years ago that forces a dirty reboot and restores from the shadow copy. It takes about 20 minutes. Then do that. I can't, sir. That script is Shadow IT. It's unauthorized code. Mr. Thorne told me explicitly that if I used unauthorized code again, I would be fired. I am protecting my job, sir. Mr. Sterling looked at Julian. His eyes were bulging. Thorne, Sterling said, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. Did you tell our only systems architect not to fix the system? I told him to follow protocol, Julian defended, to be safe. Mr. Sterling, Arthur interjected, I am currently at a crossroads. It is 5 p.m. on the East Coast. My shift is over. I am not authorized for overtime. Don't you dare leave, Julian shouted. Arthur, Mr. Sterling said, I am authorizing overtime. Fix it. Arthur stopped typing. He leaned back in his chair. The room went silent. Mr. Sterling, Arthur said slowly, I appreciate the offer, but the environment here has become untenable. I have been insulted, micromanaged, and stripped of the tools I need to do my job. I don't think I want to work overtime. In fact, I don't think I want to work here at all. Arthur reached into his desk drawer. He pulled out a white envelope. This is my resignation, effective immediately. He placed it on the desk. You can't quit, Julian yelled. The system is down. That sounds like an operations problem, Arthur said, and you are the VP of operations. Arthur stood up. He put on his coat. Arthur, wait, Sterling said from the screen. Name your price. Arthur smiled. I'm retired, Mr. Sterling. I'm going to go home, have some leftover turkey, and watch a movie with my wife. Double your salary, Sterling yelled. No. Triple! No. Arthur walked to the elevator. The entire office watched him go. Julian Thorne looked like he was about to vomit. The elevator doors closed. Saturday, 9 a.m. Apex Logistics was dead in the water. The loss was estimated at $12 million and counting. Major clients had already canceled contracts. Julian Thorne had been fired at 8 p.m. on Friday night. Security escorted him out. He cried in the parking lot. At 10 a.m., a black town car pulled up to Arthur's suburban home. Mr. Sterling got out. He was wearing a suit, not beachwear. He looked humbled. He knocked on the door. Martha answered. Oh, hello. You must be the man who made my husband so stressed for 10 years. Yes. Is Arthur home? Arthur appeared wearing a gardening hat. Hello, Reginald. Arthur, Sterling said. We're dead. We can't get it back up. The other IT guys don't know the code. They don't know the passwords. It's a mess. I imagine it is. Please, come back. I'll fire everyone. I'll make you VP. Anything. Arthur wiped dirt off his hands. I don't want to be VP. I don't want to manage people. I just want to fix machines. Then fix them, please. I'm retired, Arthur said. But I do possess a unique skill set. I could be persuaded to come on as an external consultant. Fine, consultant. What's your rate? Arthur looked at the sky. Well, my previous hourly rate was about $60, but consultants have overheads, insurance, stress. Name it. $400 an hour, Arthur said, with a minimum retainer of 200 hours paid up front, and I wanted in writing that I have absolute autonomy. No VP manages me. I report only to you. Sterling didn't blink. Done. And one more thing, Arthur said. What? I want the coffee machine fixed, by a professional, before I walk in the door. Arthur walked back into Apex Logistics at 1 p.m. on Saturday. He looked like a rock star. People practically bowed as he passed. He walked into the server room. It was hot and quiet. He sat down at the terminal. He logged in with the root access credentials that Sterling had personally reactivated. He opened the command line. He typed, run scriptlazarus.sh. He pressed enter. Lines of code cascaded down the screen like the Matrix. Fans whirred to life. Drives spun up. System restoring. Memory flushed. Database reconnected. In 18 minutes, the green lights on the server rack flickered on. One by one, then all at once. Outside the glass walls, a cheer went up. It started low and became a roar. The phones started ringing again. The printers started buzzing. Apex was alive. Arthur leaned back. He took a sip of the coffee that had been waiting for him. Starbucks delivered by an assistant. It was good coffee. 6 months later, Apex Logistics was running smoother than ever. Arthur Penhaligon was no longer an employee. He was the consultant. He came in 3 days a week, Tuesday through Thursday, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. He wore Hawaiian shirts. He made more money in those 3 days than he used to make in a month. Julian Thorne was never seen in the logistics industry again. Rumor had it he was working for his father's landscaping business, trying to optimize the leaf-blowing schedule. Arthur sat in the break room fixing a loose hinge on the cupboard door. Not because he had to, not because it was in his contract, but because he wanted to. Sarah walked in. She was now the senior systems manager. Arthur had trained her personally. Hey, Arthur, she said. The dashboard shows a slight lag in the Asian servers. Want me to check it? Arthur smiled. Is it in your job description, Sarah? Sarah grinned. It says, do whatever Arthur taught you. Then go for it. Arthur closed his toolbox. He checked his watch. 2:59 p.m. He stood up. Going home? Sarah asked. Yep, Arthur said. It's 3 p.m., and I act my wage. He walked out the door into the sunshine, a man who had not only fixed the machine, but had finally learned how to operate it.